and then just people overlooking Cowboy. They're three things, but that's what everyone else is talking about. I'm not saying that we don't talk about it, but they're three things, and then we can start getting into. We can pick apart, and I think this is back end stuff, like what Conor's been doing since. His interviews that he's put out, to like one big one with Helwani a few months ago, and then what he's done with the Mac Life, and then on the flip side, Cerrone's got this mini documentary series that's out. It's standard Cerrone, nothing's changed. But Conor's apparently it's all changed. What do you want to start with?
But you wanted to go psychology stuff straight after the playlists, right? Didn't you say you wanted to go?
Makes sense.
Yeah. Energy stuff in terms of just who's gonna just that
well, we had a long chat about it, didn't we? Like,
yeah.
He's had the opportunity to put stuff out and hasn't. He's got one of the biggest. He's got the biggest following in the sport, and hasn't used it specifically to antagonise Cowboy or anything like that. Or unless we read between the lines and it's his silence is his antagonising tactic.
Yeah. It's one of two. It's either he doesn't see he doesn't. It's like we were talking about yesterday. I personally think the more I think about it, the more I kind of think he feels like he wants to be able to show that he can beat Cowboy without getting inside his head before the fight. Like, people expect the trash talking, they expect the psychological games. So I kind of think that, and partly due to the timing of it being 2 weeks into the new year, but I think that he's just going to show up in this fight and just try and be a better martial artist. I think he's confident that he is better than Cowboy.
And I think, just to layer that point, I can then reference the Helwani interview where he's talking about going back to his roots, and then to echo that statement, Kavanagh's saying that that's what's being done. That's what created all of this. Was his martial arts.
Conor's playing his whole year out.
Yeah, it's a season, which I like.
So he's not focused entirely on Cowboy. He's looking at Khabib and Masvidal and potential Nate rematches.
He has his list, doesn't he?
Yeah, but that's based on an assumption that he wins this fight.
But he's never changed. To be fair to Conor, he's read that ridiculous fucking book, The Secret, and you put it out there and it will be returned to you. But it seems to,
It's worked for him.
Well, no. The Secret hasn't worked for him, but everything, luck and positive mindset and training really fucking hard.
Yeah.
Has worked for him.
Well, we'll see if he wins the fight.
Well, but
that's the only danger in talking about this stuff, is that if this goes out on Friday and then Saturday he starts this onslaught of.
That's okay, because we can.
Well, I just think we need to reference that.
Yeah. We
Yet.
Yeah. None of this stuff has happened yet, but even I think it still stands, Dan, because we saw what a year's worth of world tour did to Aldo. You're not going to compact a world tour into a couple of weeks.
No.
Against someone
do you need to with Cowboy? Like, Aldo might have taken a world tour to kind of break down, whereas Cowboy, you could just give him a weird stare at the weigh-ins and he's quick and he's.
I do think culturally the Americans are closer to us than what the Brazilians are. Like, the Brazilians wouldn't sit in a bar, I don't think, would sit in a bar and fucking tear strips off of one another all the time. But you've seen Brian Callen and Chris D'Elia doing it to one another on stage, so that it is in there culturally.
Not like that. There's no banter at the ranch. They don't banter like that at the ranch.
I'm not saying that, but I would have thought that he was probably closer to that than what Brazilians are.
Yeah. But I would say my point more than anything is that I think Cowboy's psychologically not as able to deal with that kind of stuff, whereas. And the language barrier is a part of it for Aldo as well.
Of course.
Like, that was easier for Aldo to deal with because there was a language barrier, whereas it's all fight week for Cowboy. It's not being mates with him, not shaking hands, not high-fiving, not hugging when, after face-offs and all that kind of stuff. And Conor's not going to do any of that. And I think Conor knows that that's really all he needs to do for Cowboy. There's no point in investing so much time in all the psychological game because you're just kind of running over the same tracks with Cowboy.
Yeah, but I think he enjoys it. That's the thing. And if you can...
So then that would support that he's doing it intentionally, not doing it intentionally. Whether that's for the fans' benefit to kind of change the fans' perspective of him.
Or has McGregor just changed? It's a different version.
The reason that the psychological stuff comes first is because we're coming off the two playlists where head kicks for Cowboy and body shots for Conor.
Yeah.
And that's something that's going to I mean, the thing is, the psychology comes in straight away because Conor starting fast is partly to do with the psychology of Cowboy.
I think it's for
But also
sure.
attacking the body.
This is directly related to a strategy. Typically, for Conor. Now we're trying to second guess if it's still related to his strategy, and then we can look at some other stuff. I'm just trying to think about what other stuff we talk about, because he's calling it redemption, he's calling it a season.
Are we talking about the choice of weight class?
So that, I think, is... I actually think we get into that quite early, maybe at the front end, because it really does seem as simple as Conor wanted it to be at 170, probably so he could enjoy Christmas, and Dana's really happy with it because it just means he's got 2 lightweights that aren't cutting weight.
Yeah, there's nothing more to it.
However,
I don't agree.
so I'm happy to say that, and you can say, but actually it could be his arrogance in a way, because he will be the smaller man. Cerrone's team they will be thinking that.
I think the arrogance of being the smaller man played in to a point with the rematch with Nate. But I still think the reason he forced the rematch with Nate at welterweight was not because that was the criteria under which he lost in the first place. It's because Nate was ranked 6th at lightweight, and losing to Nate at lightweight would have impacted him negatively in that weight class. If he loses to Cowboy at lightweight, he's never getting a title shot. And if he loses to Cowboy at welterweight, he can still step down to lightweight and still cause problems.
See, I see it in more of a positive way, that he beats, or in his eyes, he wins, but he's got another win at welterweight. So it keeps his options
close
open.
to the BMF belt, which is what he really wants. But I think there's a double benefit to it.
There's like a safeguard. Yeah, okay. Well, we can talk about that.
And that's the reason why he didn't rematch Nate at 155.
Well, I thought it was so that there's no question, so that there's no excuses. It's putting everything to bed. It's like, if we're going to do it, then let's do it on the same playing field, so that no one can come back. And because he was at a disadvantage for doing that. So
Maybe.
It has to be smaller.
Yeah. But it would be smaller than Nate at 55 or 170.
Yeah, but then you're at an advantage, right? If you're not as depleted.
I would say that he had a disadvantage because we had this conversation yesterday, because he didn't go through that process of depleting himself. We talked about it. When he's on the scales at 45 and 55, he looks like a wild animal. At 170, he looks like Roy Nelson, rubbing his belly and shit. It's a different person entirely.
I think it's more strings to that bow, because you're also talking about a guy who was at that time probably had 50,000 followers to then, and no wealth, as comparatively little wealth, to now being the fucking megastar and going, I am able to call the shots and have this how I want it. And we've seen, like, he's confessed to just generally speaking, it doesn't sound like everyone's been on the same page in terms of getting their camps together, and he's put his hand up and said that's on me. But I do remember when for the hour, which fight was it? There's been a lot of tweaking. Like, Conor used to train really late at night to then, okay, John Kavanagh, tell me how I go back and beat Diaz. And he does turn around and go, I need help. And Kavanagh looks like you're the guy.
Yeah, no, I'm not doubting any of that.
But I think I
just think there's a game being played with weight classes, which is why he kept his featherweight belt while he tried for the lightweight belt. Because if he'd have lost the lightweight belt, he'd have gone back down to featherweight to defend the belt. It's the same thing that Cejudo did at flyweight. It sucks because it's a ploy and I can see it. But that's what he was doing. The featherweight belt was his safety net. Now he doesn't have that featherweight safety net now, but what he does have is a lightweight safety net, because he can demand that Khabib rematch, and because Dana's already expressed that he wants it, he knows he'll get it. Whereas if he loses to Cowboy at 55, there's no way Khabib signed a contract with Conor's name on it. Cowboy's never been top 5 at lightweight, really. He's always been a contender because he's the next person in line after.
He's fought for the title.
Yeah. But if you look at the rankings at the time, he wasn't number 1 contender. He was number 3, I think, because there were 2 people above him that tried and failed. I'm just speculating. That's just my read on it because I feel like.
But then everyone knows that he's fighting a lightweight fighter.
But everyone knows he is a lightweight fighter, and everyone knew he was a lightweight fighter fighting at Nate as well. See, I think if he felt like he could get an advantage by taking Christmas away from Cowboy, he would have done it. So I don't think he's fighting at welterweight for anything to do with like his own laziness of not wanting to make weight. I think it's strategy, and I think his strategy is so he can always return to lightweight. This also does position him for a shot at the BMF belt. If he beats Cowboy, he'll most likely get a shot at Masvidal, and then that lines up a Nate rematch, regardless of whether he wins or loses. But the back pocket card is always a rematch with Khabib, and as soon as he loses to anybody else at lightweight, that's gone. That's off the table. What did Khabib say? He wants 10 fights. You win 10 fights, and then you'll get a fight. You'll get a rematch. Losing one fight at lightweight fucks his whole plans. And I think he stays away from lightweight until he fights either Khabib or one person that will get him a shot against Khabib. And I think he would turn down Gaethje. I think he would turn down Tony Ferguson. I think he'd take Poirier. I think that'd be the pick he would go if he can't get Khabib. But he'll wait. He'll sit outside the weight class until he gets that fight.
I just think that everyone, regardless if he loses to Cowboy at 170, Khabib will just go, "You've lost to Cowboy at 170. Cowboy's he's outside of the."
He got embarrassed by Nate at 170 and still got a fight against Khabib at 155 without having any titles, any fights at 155 before that.
Yeah, but Nate was a late notice replacement, wasn't he?
He still got dominated, choked out. Same thing happened to him against Khabib. It makes no sense if you look at the rankings why he would have got a title shot at all in the lightweight division. Because he lost in Nate. Nate was ranked 6 at lightweight. The reason they fought at welterweight was because Nate couldn't make the weight. Because it was a short notice fight.
Looking to be in the studio for 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
So 15 minutes of a little kind of run through, make sure you comfy, and then get started around quarter.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Get a coffee. Would you like?
Yeah. Did you? Yeah, send.
I'll look up
forgotten what.
popping. Send it.
We've got some good questions here. Got some good questions here.
Everyone in my family's bald. All of them. Women, men, children, everyone. I am literally one of the only people with a head of hair, and even that's diminishing. Did you know there's a shot, a camera angle, on Inside the Octagon? I think purposely Jason and Gary pick it out and go, look at his sunroof. Here's the camera angle just to remind him.
Because
They don't need to cut to it.
I don't believe it. Do you think that's get payback or something?
No, I don't know. I tried to be nicer in this production meeting, so we'll see what happens. The final cut looks like I'm wearing a skull cap, and then
I can bring in stuff, to spray on it,
Don't say that on camera. But let's talk when the camera's on. Do people seriously do that? They ask that of you.
Off camera, I'm not gonna.
Wow.
Well, you could say they do, just not specify.
Yeah, just don't say that. Wow.
Yeah. There are because people they have everything sprayed, and on camera you can't see it. It looks like normal. It's normal hair.
Right, I think we're ready to do some TV. It's a big show apparently. Everyone's excited. Conor McGregor's back.
Oh yes.
Yeah, we're going to talk about him now. And Cowboy Cerrone, another big hitter. You do know he's Cowboy's very, very big.
I need Dan now.
Yes, you do.
Dan the man.
I don't know where he is.
Dan the man.
He's still out there.
I'm going to go and... Oh, he's in there.
Yeah.
That's where he is. Okay, I'm going to go in there and hang out.
See you in a bit.
See what we got. Thank you.
Didn't realise you're an Arsenal fan.
I'm an Arsenal fan. Love it. After you.
So what?
Have you seen that so
Quiet. Shh. It's oh so still.
Hello.
How are you?
So here we go. We've got Matt Brown going to level change and throw a jab to the body. As he does that, out of his peripheral vision, he sees Cowboy throwing that jab, and you can see he ducks his head out of the way. Clearly, Cowboy's throwing that punch past his head. He's clearly throwing that punch over the top of his head, because if he'd have thrown it direct, there was a risk he'd have gone the opposite way.
It's a switch as well. Switch kick.
And no decent circulation system.
So he's on.
Yeah, so he throws his hand out as he's switching.
It was my own. Not one stretch.
What does that taste like? There's the rats.
14 times the size.
That's fucking freaky. How is that not an animal? Do you know, literally, I'm sure I saw a paw.
Oh, that is just. Look how distorted his face is when that shot lands as well.
Serious stuff.
There was a heavyweight that got knocked out like that recently. Like their legs went stiff, but their upper body relaxed and just rolled forward. Have you seen that? They just kind of.
Oh yeah.
Like those goats that you can surprise and they fucking fall unconscious. Have you seen them?
What?
Have you seen them?
No,
No.
I don't think so.
There's a species of goat, and their self-defense tactic, if they're being hunted, is to play dead.
No, you can't do it.
But so there's this video of this on YouTube. You can see this. So someone will walk into a field with these goats, with this herd of goats, and they'll run forward and they'll clap, and all these goats will just fucking die on the floor and be dead. You're laughing, but it's serious. And then they'll get back up in a couple of minutes or so, and they'll start walking around again. But if you startle them, they just go stiff and rigid and fall on the
See, I'll definitely choose the wrong goat. I'll get the motherfuckers that want to charge you and ram you, and I'll end up fucking, somersaulting through the air. Yeah. Oh, whoa!
Got the horn.
3 sentence style.
Cool.
If it's all the media trying
So
to
the first
get
playlist is about how Conor's going to try and control the centre, because Cowboy's a slow starter.
Yes.
Connor's almost definitely going to start quite aggressively and try and back him up against the fence, try and get inside his head, try and land something significant.
midway through.
And this is a playlist about how he forces people away from his left hand, which is quite unusual. He does it here against Khabib as well. It's the first punch he throws.
Some good first teamers.
See how he's forcing him away from his left hand, which is really strange. Most southpaws would want you moving the opposite direction, so you're walking onto the power. But the reason he does it, you watch here, as he throws the punch, so he throws the punch there, but watch this, as the punch extends, because he throws his punches so hard, he has an overextension with his punches, and when this left hand misses, see how close he jogs his foot to the fence. Like, that's a very unusual position for someone to be. You would really want him to see the opposite way, because you want your opponent moving onto your power punch instead of moving away from him. So that's the first thing I'm going to talk about. And then it's like, how does Cowboy deal with that pressure? Most likely he's going to clinch and take down. That's what we've seen from Cowboy before. So then we talk about Cowboy's ground game, his submissions, which are amazing, very, very good submissions. Conor's takedown defense, which even though he lost to Khabib, he showed some good things in that fight. Then clinch striking for Cowboy. I think that's his key in this fight, because I think he will try and take Conor down, but I also think that Conor's got good scrambling ability and takedown defense to be able to at least scramble back to his feet if he is taken down. But the best thing that Cowboy does, in my opinion, at least at welterweight, is striking. Like, shoots in, fails the takedown, comes straight up into a clinch, lands elbows and knees, and then as people break, he throws those high kicks on the end. And I just feel like there's a lot of opportunities for him to not only wear Conor down by beating him up in the clinch, but also by catching him as he comes out, because Conor does tend to slide out of the clinch with his chin up and his hands down. Something Cowboy might be able to exploit.
This shirt, I actually was in two minds about whether to use this one.
There you go. If you do yourself up,
Well, I knew that I had a block colour here.
Yeah.
So, well, I could go for a more funky shirt.
Fashion chips from James.
Oh, stop.
Oh, don't give secrets away. Everyone walking down the street dressed like John G's.
Hey? Whoa. Look at that. When everyone thinks you're boring, you gotta like.
I'm into socks now.
You want to see my pants?
No, we don't. We really don't. That's them in your top pocket, isn't it?
Well, it's the same. It's the same material, Dan. Silk.
Yeah. He has all of his underwear made out of Egyptian bed sheets. He's a pharaoh, you know. Brilliant. Thank you. Right.
Left. The old ones are the best.
I reckon that's
Elodie started doing that, by the way. She'll walk around and go, right.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a proper grown-up thing to do.
Yeah.
Right, ready
She's
for
not even
work.
2.
You mean you don't recognise your mate?
He's normally got facial hair, but I reckon that's him.
The notorious
Take a
Conor
picture and
McGregor,
send it to him.
who
And ask
meets
him.
UFC superstar Donald "Cowboy" Cerrone in the blockbuster main event in Las Vegas. Do you guys want me to give this a little go? Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna do a little voiceover, everyone. Just. Oh, I think we're just adjusting some camera apparatus. Yes. Okay, gotcha. Gotcha. The UFC launches into a new decade with the highly anticipated return of the notorious Conor McGregor, who meets UFC superstar Donald "Cowboy" Cerrone in the blockbuster main event in Las Vegas. The Octagon welcomes back McGregor after a 15-month hiatus. The former 2-division champion looks to prove once again just why he is the biggest draw in the game. However, this isn't Cowboy's first rodeo under the bright lights. A relentless competitor with a never-say-die attitude, Cerrone boasts an unrivaled UFC finishing record and knows he has the firepower to take out the Irishman. These two great warriors finally go toe-to-toe. The legions of fans can expect fireworks as we kick off 2020 with an almighty bang. I go to social. I go in. No, that's wrong. Everyone, oh, I got it. You leave it to me. Hello. And then we go to stats to bring up the main card down. We have a little conversation about the main card. I might even choose to... I mean, it doesn't do anything, but I might just choose to touch the screen.
You might choose to touch
I might
it.
just choose to make some contact. And then we go into social. That brings up all of these wonderful questions. I'll then go into such a question. And from here, depending on what I'm told in my ear, I might go back to the social board. Or I might go straight to the
Fight card.
might go straight to the fight card. To then go back to the social board. So then we do this. And when I'm signing off, do you want me to come back to this screen for the sign off? Definitely come back. Definitely means you must do that. Don't forget to do it. You doofus. Okay, got it. Thank you very much for tuning in. We're going to enjoy the fights. We hope you do too. We'll be back for the next pay-per-view. Thanks for watching.
Cheers, thank you.
Thank you. Well, yeah, we didn't have a lot of variety though, that's the thing.
No, I think that
Thing
was
is,
all
though,
quite broad, wasn't it?
We say it feels quite long, but that's because we've been, like, for the last
Well, then what
3
they-
days, been
Yeah.
all about this.
And then what they do anyway is chop up them in isolation.
Thank you.
Anyway.
Cheers.
So they'll trim down the whole thing, and then they'll take each.
Gotta use it.
isolation.
Let's have a look at it.
Some DNA on there. Never take your eyes off.
John's going, oh,
Oh, that was smart.
oh, gold. Right.
Beautiful.
Right, cheers, guys. Good to see you again.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you
Care.
very much.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yes, you too.
Sweet.
Thank you.
See ya.
Cheers, mate. Thank you very much.
Cheers, guys.
See you next time.